Thanks for joining us today for another edition of Mindfulness Mondays. Today, or this week, is our Arts and Crafts series. So we're going to be doing an activity called Affirmation Rocks, or also sometimes known as Inspiration Rocks. So before we get into all these lovely materials on my table I have right here, let's talk real quick about the word affirmation, because it's really important to our activity today. So an affirmation is anything that you say or think about yourself, right? So it's all of our self-talk and all those voices that are in our head on a daily basis. So affirmations could be positive, or unfortunately they could also be negative. But today we want to focus on solely positive affirmations. And so what I want you to do is start thinking in your head about what that could be for yourself, right? Because we're going to be using these affirmations on our rocks today. So let me just start with some examples. So an affirmation could be a one-word statement, and something like compassionate or brave or believe. So that could be something like that's a quality that you think is really good about yourself, or something that you want to say, okay, I'm having a really bad day, or I'm really stressed out and I just need to breathe it out, right? Or I need to believe in something good coming. It could also be a statement rather than a just one-word response. So some examples of a statement are, I am kind, or I accept others, or I am fun, right? So think about some things that you really like about yourself and appreciate about yourself. Or maybe, if you don't know, sometimes it's really hard to think about who we are and what we like. Feel free to ask your friend, maybe ask a family member, and say, hey, what do you think is a great quality about me? What can I bring that is something positive about myself? So take a few minutes, have some brainstorming, think about some positive affirmations for yourself, write them down, and then leave those aside for right now, and then we're going to step in and walk into our materials. So for today's activity, you're going to need some acrylic paint. It's really important that it's acrylic and not water-based. I have all my primary colors right here, and then I also have my paint tray. We also have a variety of different paint brushes. I have a foam brush over here, and then I have kind of medium to small paint brushes, as well as a black permanent marker. The permanent marker is optional. You could use that to write your affirmation, or you could just keep with the paint and use the paint for everything. We also have a water cup, right? If we want to switch colors, fairly important to wash out our brush. And then we have something called Mod Podge, which I'm sure you have all used in arts and crafts classes before, and that is to make our rock nice and glossy. So optional, but also really good to have. The last material you're going to need for today's affirmation rock activity, and probably the most important material, are rocks. So as you can see in front of me, I have a variety of different shapes, different sizes. I'm not going to paint all these for you today, so I'm just going to pick my two favorite. So what you need to do is go on a rock hunt, right? So find a park near your house, or if you don't have a park, maybe make it a day of it and go for a walk and find the rocks that you want to use for your affirmation rocks. So for today's examples, I'm going to use this one right here, my medium, because it's nice and flat. It's a perfect surface for painting. And then I'm also going to use a little bit of a smaller one just because I like the shape of it. So once you find your rocks, you also might need to just wash them off a little bit. If they came from a park, they might be a little bit dirty. So find your rocks, take them home, and get them nice and clean and ready to paint. So now it's time to paint our rocks. I'm going to choose my two favorite colors, blue and green. And I'm going to be using a medium-sized brush because the little ones would take me way too much time. So once you have your solid color, you might need to do more than one coat, but you just want to leave that to dry maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. Acrylic paint doesn't take too long, so just let it sit, let it dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so now that my rocks have dried out, and hopefully yours have too, we're going to start thinking about our design and how we want to create our affirmation rocks. So take out that piece of paper that I had you write your affirmations on, because now is the time to choose your favorite affirmations. And also get your paint colors ready. So Over here I have a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red. I also made some purple, right? So remember, if you have those primary colors, you can make lots of different options. So for my rock today, I'm going to choose to use the statement, I am kind, on my larger rock. Remember that everyone's affirmations are different and unique to them, so don't be afraid to use your creativity and imagination. If you would rather draw out your affirmation than write it, you can do that too. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to start with my large rock right here. I'm going to choose to use purple, and I am going to write out the phrase, I am kind. Hopefully the letters are turning out okay. With paint, sometimes it's a little bit tricky. Make sure you get enough paint. Alright. There's my statement, and then I'm also just going to add a little heart. And then with those bigger rocks, you have all this space, so you can add whatever you want. You can do a little bit of a border around it. Alright, maybe I want to add some contrast. Maybe I just want to add a little bit of swirl somewhere. Again, just be creative. And then for my small rock, I'm going to choose to do a one-word positive affirmation just because of the size of the rock. And I'm also going to use a Sharpie for this one because it's a little bit harder to paint on that small space. So for my example, I'm going to choose to use the word dream. And the reason I'm choosing dream, because I think that we should always remember our dreams and have them in the top of our mind, no matter how old we get. So I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add a little squiggly to it. And then I'm going to try my best at adding a shooting star. So let's put, see how it looks. Remember, it's your own unique affirmation. Again, you could add a border. Just do whatever you like with it. So for our final, and then again, you're just going to let that dry. Alright, now that we've completed our affirmation rocks, it's time to think about where you want to put them. Maybe you have a shelf in your room you can put them on. Maybe you have a garden space outside. Just remember that you want to put your affirmation rocks in a place that you can see them. They really are there to help you stay motivated, get inspired, and remind you of all the wonderful things about yourself. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.